write into us on any one of our social media platforms or indeed on the WhatsApp number. Before you send in your query, you can wish her a very, very happy birthday and a great new year. It's also my last edition of Buy Now, Sell Now, and it has been an absolute pleasure and a privilege to bring you the show. I leave the show in very able, very capable hands. Do stay tuned for, well, forever.
Yeah, I know.
But let's kickstart today's edition of Buy Now, Sell Now. Let's take a look at where the markets are right now. You have the equity markets that are trading positive at the end of the week. Gains of about 0.4% or thereabouts. You saw quite a bit of crack at the end of yesterday's session, but you see some bit of recovery in trade. Of course, we're trading off the high point of the day, but still gains. Broader markets looking quite strong. You have the mid-cap index gaining about 1% or so. The small-cap index up as much as 0.8%. Take a look at the heat map on the Nifty 50. Significant number of gainers. In fact, just a handful of losers in trade today. Reliance Industries is one of them, leading to some bit of pressure. It's down about 0.4% or so. The biggest loser, of course, is Eicher Motors, which is down about 2.4%. Bharti Airtel, Asian Paints, IndusInd Bank, all losing ground at the start of, or rather, midway through the session. Titan is gaining over 3%, looking very strong. Hindalco, Tata Motors, SBI Life, as well as Tata Steel, JSW Steel, all gaining over 2% each. From the broader markets, you have names like Chambal, which is gaining about 5%. Escorts is looking good, up close to 5%. SAIL is looking good as well. And you probably guessed, based on what I've told you so far, the sectors that are in focus. Metals, of course, gaining the most ground, up as much as 2%. The banking index is up about 0.5%, Cheryl.
Absolutely, that's the way how the markets are set up. And yes, it's a special edition of Buy Now, Sell Now indeed for us, Alex. And all the viewers, thank you so much. I can see all the birthday messages pouring in from Ganesh, Muthu, Jairaj, Kaji. Thank you so much for the birthday wishes in advance. We have our experts today with us. We have Kunal Bothra, who is joining us, as well as we have our guests on the fundamental as well. We have Ashish Kapoor joining us on the show as well. So good morning to you, Kunal, as well as Ashish. And before we kickstart with the queries, Kunal, Sensex, where do you see this one headed now?
Good morning, Cheryl. Happy birthday to you in advance, as well as for Alex. I think it's been a privilege for me as well to be part of a panel hosted by you and anchored by you. On the markets and specifically on Sensex, I think now we are getting into a very tight kind of a range for the indices. So what the last 4-5 days of price action has shown or indicated is that the markets are getting into a zone of consolidation. We termed this almost a week back that this could be more of a healthy consolidation for the indices. So right now we are getting into that band of consolidation. 59,000 is acting as a pivot for Sensex, and we could be dabbling into maybe 1,000 point plus or minus this 59,000 mark for the Sensex over the very near term. So traders should try and use this zone to maybe try and be more stock specific. Look out for the large cap names and the ones which have gone through a steep rally and now getting into a phase of correction. I think that's a better strategy in this kind of a consolidation for Sensex.
All right, gentlemen, it's time to start the queries now, and we've got quite a few pouring in on WhatsApp as well. There are a lot of wishes for Cheryl, and thank you so much for that. But I will start with a technical question first, and this one's for you, Kunal, an extension to what you've just spoken about. We've got a viewer who is trying to enter a strangle on the Nifty 50 for the next week, for expiry next Thursday. What should his strategy be?
So I think it's sort of a good strategy. I think if you're looking out for strikes, I'm not sure what exactly the premium you're looking out for. But then broadly, I would believe that possibly 17,000 and 18,000 could be a broad strikes for the indices where you can probably try and build on the strangle. 17,600 could be a better strategy if you're looking out for maybe going for that high risk straddle shorting as well. So depends on your risk appetite, but then I think closer to that 70,600 mark plus or minus 300 points is where I believe that the larger range could probably be for the Nifty.
All right, this next query that I have is coming in from Balan, and he's saying that he has exposure to PNB, Indian Bank, IDFC, Canara Bank, as well as BOB. He's making about 10 to 15% profit in both of these, in all of these counters. So he wants to know whether he should hold or switch any of them and buy some more of them in the short to medium term. Ashish, I'll come to you with this query. Of late, we've seen a lot of action in the small to mid-sized banking space, and also you have Mr. Balan who's been making making healthy profits. What should he do right now? Continue to hold on to them?
Well, certainly banking is one of the better sectors. You can continue to hold on to them. I mean, the kind of list he has, I think, have very heavily concentrated in mid-cap and I think PSU banks. So maybe he could kind of, add some large frontline private banks and as well as public sector banks to the list. So I can think of is he can sell some of them and add, the banks which are doing very well, ICICI Bank and HDFC Bank. HDFC Bank has kind of underperformed, so kind of looks good to add to the portfolio. ICICI Bank is doing very well. I think it will continue to do very well. And I think third one could be SBI. So possibly he could, book some of the profits in some of the mid caps and move into ICICI, HDFC, and SBI.
We've got a question coming in from Krish, and he's asking this one to you as well, Ashish, and he's asking about Borosil Renewables. Would you hold this one or would you move to something like an Asahi Glass?
Well, I'll continue to hold on to Borosil Renewables. Disclosure here that I have it in my portfolio as well. I think very well established, and I think the solar energy thing is going to continue doing well. And they are quite in a dominant position in almost monopoly kind of situation when it comes to solar glass panel manufacturing. And so the company, I think, will continue doing very well. And I think there is no, I don't see any great danger in holding on to it. I think the bull run will continue in this, and the company will continue doing, good financially and continue to make more profits going forward. So I think a good stock you're holding, continue to hold.
Okay, this one is coming from Matthew. He's writing to us from Kochi, and he's saying that he has 3,000 shares of Equitas Small Finance Bank, purchased at 54 rupees. Kunal wants to know whether he should average, hold or sell and what kind of upside is likely. Nevertheless, he's saying that he's a long-term investor.
I think you should definitely look to hold after yesterday's price action move for Equitas. I would believe that the stock is now coming out of a deep correction / consolidation. So the market is now getting back into the thick of the mid cap and the small cap, and the ones which have underperformed, they are the ones which are seeing a strong bout of rally. So I would be of the belief, and specifically the NBFC space, where you've seen so many of the NBFC stocks starting to do pretty well for themselves, breaking out of their 3-month, 6-month highs, some of them even multi-year highs for themselves. In that regards, I would suggest a hold on Equitas.
Okay, Kunal, I'm coming back to you on Tata Elxsi. Okay, and Sudarshan Rao is asking this question. He has gotten at elevated levels, and elevated being 9,900. We were talking about it just recently when it reached that 10,000 mark. And he's saying that he's a little worried now. He holds 20 shares. What should his strategy be?
See, I think last week also we discussed Tata Elxsi, and I mentioned that the stock has broken the classical, strategy which you look out for. That's a 3-day, 5-day swing low. And whenever a stock breaks that after a series and a multiple, series of strong uptrend, that's the best time to try and get out of the stock price, or at least not buy the stock, because the trend and the tide seems to be changing. Now from those 9,800, 900 levels, the stock has corrected to sub 9,500 levels. I would still be of the belief that the correction could intensify for Tata Elxsi from here on as well. So I would suggest an exit on your holdings which you recently purchased at 9,900.
Okay, this next query is coming in from Dheeraj, and he wants to know about Jubilant FoodWorks. Kunal, he wants to know whether it's the right time to buy and what sort of target can he expect in the near term for this one.
I would suggest a buy. In fact, the stock has corrected more than 10% in the last 1.5 odd week. From 620, which was the high, the stock had come back towards almost 555, 560, and now it's trying to come back again, breaking past about that 600 level. So it's a good time where you can look to buy. Even if you are looking at it from a short-term play, you can look at maybe 620, 625 as an immediate target. But if you have a time horizon of 3 to 6 months plus, then you can keep a nominal target of at least 655, 660 for Jubilant Food.
Okay, this is a question from Manu, and he's asking about Vaibhav Global. This one's for you, Ashish. And he's pointing out the fact that the dollar is at elevated levels. It has been in the recent past, and this should ideally be a benefit for a company like Vaibhav Global. But the price is not reflecting that, according to him. What should his strategy be? Should he hold for the long term?
Well, Vaibhav Global, Alex, I haven't tracked, so I would not be able to comment on it.
Kunal, if we can get a technical view on this just the same. I know that this is a fundamental query, but he's holding at levels of 316. What should his strategy be?
See, I frankly also don't track the stock, but then when I was looking at the charts for Weber Global, it's not at all an attractive chart. In the last 3 months, when the markets have gone from 15,000 to 17,000, 18,000 plus levels, the stock has remained absolutely sideways. It's been one of the stocks which have been beaten down significantly. I think the all-time high levels for Weber Global is around 1,000, 1,050 levels, and it's almost corrected by one-third. Corrected to one-third from those levels. So again, a stock which I think is going through its own phase of a severe downtrend. I would suggest a complete avoid.
All right, hang in there, viewers. So it's time for us to slip into a break on this edition of Buy Now, Sell Now. Also, the guests, please stay with us. We will be back with more queries on the other side.
Almost seems like you were listening in on the deliberation the committee was doing, and you're absolutely right.
But if this cup of coffee is costing you 25 rupees right now, after 5 years, it may cost you 100 rupees. Predicting the market or predicting the short-term move in the market, well, that's always very easy. Predicting it right and making money, it's not impossible. It could be a challenge.
See, Nikunj, you're a very seasoned market observer, and therefore you may hit the nail on the head.
I think you have always kept the focus on the retail investor, and I think it's again a very apt, very good question.
Nikunj, first of all, thank you so much. You are one person I've always enjoyed interacting throughout last 15-20 years.
You know, the problem on coming on your channel is that you already know everything. I just heard your introduction. And what can anybody add to that?
Stock markets is a numbers game, and it sometimes does come across as one-dimensional. But what people don't see is that these numbers, when strung together, tell a story. There's no really black or white. It very much seems to be a work in progress of triumphs and mistakes, greed and fear. And I bring you that story behind the numbers in action.
The personal finance show that helps you achieve all your financial dreams.
This show gets you everything that you need to know about your money, how to earn more, invest smartly, and spend while getting the best bang for your buck.
From the perfect home to early retirement and everything in between.
Real estate, everyone knows, is an asset that Indians absolutely love, maybe even more than gold.
Join us every weekday at 5 p.m. on the ET Money Show. Investment made easy, only on ET Now.
With each passing day, this market is becoming better, and with each passing day, this market is only telling you that if you've participated on every decline, you've actually made money.
ITC's credo is nation first, sab saath bade. I would like to live this philosophy in whatever business we do.
We continue to be very well diversified across product lines. The general health of the company continues to be very strong.
We are a publicly listed company. We have access to capital. We have great brands.
No, beautiful question. Yeah, I can tell you, we believe that we'll be able to reduce costs.
ET is one of my favorites in the world. I'm a fan.
This is a very insightful question that you're asking, Nikunj, and almost seems like you were listening in on the deliberation the committee was doing, and you're absolutely right.
But if this cup of coffee is costing you 25 rupees right now, after 5 years, it may cost you 100 rupees. Predicting the market or predicting the short-term move in the market, well, that's always very easy. Predicting it right and making money, it's not impossible. It could be a challenge.
See, Nikunj, you're
Welcome back. You're watching Buy Now, Sell Now on ET Now. And let's get going with the queries then. I have the next query coming in from Leon. And Leon is asking about LIC Housing Finance. What's the long-term view on this particular counter, Ashish? He's saying that he already has 1,000 shares purchased at 404 rupees per share.
Well, I think we should hold on. The counter has underperformed for a very, very long time, I agree. But on both counts, I think the housing finance market looks very interesting, and I think LIC Housing is one of the dominant players. So I think somewhere, I think the underperformance will get corrected. I think it's just a patience game. The company otherwise is fundamentally very well established, doing well, and I don't see anything to worry. It's just that somehow it's been out of the radar for a long time. So I think, and also the housing market in particular is looking very good in the next few years, because I think the demand is coming back in a big way. So I think he should stay invested, and I think hopefully very soon he will start seeing good returns on this.
All right. Let's take some more questions from WhatsApp then. We've got a question coming in from Aarti, and she's asking about two stocks from the list that she has identified for 1 year. Kunal, and I'm going to come to you on this. There's United Breweries, there is Varun Beverages and Westlife Development. Which of these would you pick?
So I would prefer, Westlife. I think that's a stock which is off late, given a very strong breakout, and looks like that this could be a very strong trending move for Westlife. On the other hand, I think out of the other two names like United Breweries and Varun Beverages, I would probably prefer United Breweries out of the two, because I think that stock as well has been one of the best performers from the better performers from the entire liquor space. So Global Spirits and these stocks have done. Radico Khaitan has done exceptionally well. But then from the F&O space, I think UBL as well has done pretty well, outperformed, and managed to give good returns as compared to United Spirits as well. So I would prefer these two.
Okay, the next query is coming from Himanta Datta, and Kunal wants to know whether it's right time to buy Gujarat Ambuja Export and Birla Corporation for the medium term, and what sort of a target can he expect for these counters, either Gujarat Ambuja or Birla Corp?
See, I think both the charts are almost very similar to itself. These stocks have been going through a wave of correction from their 2021 highs. The correction has been very sharp. Gujarat, Ambuja Export, I think is now sub 300 levels. Birla Corp, on the other hand, is sub 1000 mark. 995 is where the stock is trading. So both these stocks are getting into a recovery phase. So you may look out for a decent upside from current levels, but the only concern is time frame. I'm not sure whether 1 year could be substantial enough as a time frame, because of the way these stocks have rallied from 2020 lows. Possibly there could be at least a 1.5 odd year of sideways correction for these names before these stocks manage to break out and then start a multi-year rally. So hold on from at least a couple of years perspective, if not more.
All right, Anjali from Nashik is writing in asking about Engineers India, which he's bought at levels of 69, and this one's for you, Ashish. Should she hold on?
I don't think so. I think the stock has underperformed like how for many years, and I think somehow whatever potential or whatever one hears about it, it never gets realized. So it's one PSU which has been lagging in every way. I mean, you look at it, their growth, their profitability, nothing has really materialized. So I think it's one of the very slow moving stocks. It's better to move your money somewhere else. I think within the PSU space also, you have things like BEL, HAL, or GNFC, etc., which are doing much better. So I think best is to move out of this stock.
Okay, let's take Charmaine Sequeira's question, and she's asking about SpiceJet. which he's bought at levels of 47.75. I'll come back to you, Ashish, on this one because this is an airline that flew into troubles lately or recently, and it isn't the market leader by a long shot. Would you suggest holding on to this, or do you think that you should get out and maybe go into the market leader?
Well, I would agree with that. I think, firstly, aviation itself is a very difficult industry to make money. Very few investors actually end up making money by buying aviation stocks. But if you have to, then it's much better to buy the leader, which is Indigo, by a very good margin. So yes, and I think SpiceJet, you're right, has been having major problems lately. So best is to book out here, and if you want to remain in aviation, then go with the Interglobe Aviation, which is a clear market leader.
Okay, this one is coming from Vishal, and he's saying he's made 30% gain in Coal India as well as AFL India, and now he's planning to book partial profits, and this in order to buy Uflex. He's planning to buy Uflex afresh. What's your take on this one, Ashish? Do you think it's a good strategy because he's looking at this for the longer term?
Well, I think you can book some part profit in Coal India for sure. Commodity play, and again a PSU stock need not necessarily keep performing in the long run. AFL India, stay invested. So you can book partial from Coal India, and that would be a better strategy.
Okay, we've got several questions coming in. I will take the first one that I see. PS Chakraborty is asking, and this one, Ashish, is, well, he's talking about a company that I haven't heard of, but I think he's asking about the broader strategy. If you're seeing newly listed companies or recently listed companies with low issue size, is that a red flag, or is that something to be wary of, or would you base your decision to invest or not invest purely on the basis of the fundamentals of the business?
It will be purely based on the fundamentals. If you're an investor, it doesn't matter what is the issue size or what is the float. It doesn't matter. I mean, the company is doing well, then of course, in over a period of time, it will start reflecting. So yes, it should be based on research and the fundamental strength. I think if you're an investor, it doesn't matter. The trading volume or the size of the float doesn't really matter.
Okay, but do you have a specific view on Syrma SGE technology?
As listed today, I don't have a view on this.
Okay, fair enough.
Okay, let me just club a couple of queries because we have a lot of them actually waiting. Kunal, this one is for you. From Maleshwar, Harini, both of them want to know about Eicher Motors, whether they can look to buy this at current market price for the short term.
Well, yes, I think you can look to buy. I'm very bullish on the entire auto space. Of course, I've umpteen times given my preference towards M&M, but I still believe that there are many stocks which are also emerging as a breakout candidate. Eicher Motors, about the 3,000 mark, has done pretty well. Slowly and steadily, it's moved 10% higher from those 3,300 levels. So it looks attractive even from a short-term play.
All right, gentlemen, thank you so much for taking the time. That brings the query segment to a close. Ashish as well as Kunal, thank you as always for taking the time. And that brings us to the end of this edition of Buy Now, Sell Now. It's a goodbye from my side. It's been an absolute pleasure bringing you this show. Thank you so much for watching. This is ET Now.
आग को फैलने से रोकना मुश्किल है।
Very seasoned market observer, and therefore you may hit the nail on the head.
I think you have always kept the focus on the retail investor, and I think it's again a very apt, very good question.
Nikunj, first of all, thank you so much. You are one person I've always enjoyed interacting throughout last 15-20 years.
The problem on coming on your channel is that you already know everything. I just heard your introduction. And what can anybody add to that?